This video is going to start going through the basic setup of the shadow for our character. So let me just show you once again, we'll look at the whole map here. And you can see that this is our character rig as always. And we're going to look at the shadow group now and what nodes build the shadow and how they come together. Okay. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to set a comp that's outside of our group of our character so that we can flatten it down into one piece. Okay, so I'm going to take this and I'm going to just disconnect this right now, and I will also just disconnect this group altogether, and I'm going to just take all of this and I'll push this aside for now, and we'll rebuild this block. Okay, so let me just push that over and take a look at what we have here. So let me create just a basic block here, and we'll start putting some nodes in this to build this up. Okay, so the first thing we're going to need is we're going to need to get a comp, and I'm going to take that comp and apply our animation from our rig into that comp. And I'm now going to get and apply peg transformation node. Put it right there. And I'm also, let me just zero in on this. Okay. And I'm also going to get a quad map to control it. Let me just turn on some keystroke information here so you can see what keys I'm using. Okay, so let me just grab this, and I'm going to go and grab a quad map. Put that there, and that is going to control the peg here, the apply peg. So I'm going to take that apply peg and I'm going to put that into the left side. This comp, I want to make sure that the comp is set up just as a flattened comp, and it's just as a bitmap here. That's fine, and I'm going to close that, and then I'm going to put that comp into the right side of the apply peg. Okay, last but not least, I'm going to get a shadow node. Okay, and this is just a basic stylized shadow, and we're going to put this information into that shadow. Okay, and then finally it would just be put into our main comp at the bottom of our setup. So I'm going to take the shadow and I'm going to go to the right side because I want it to be underneath, and I'm going to apply that to the main comp. I'm just going to put that under the character, and that will put our shadow into the scene. Okay, now we can't see anything here at the moment, but if I grab the quad map and I turn on this show control, which is Shift F11, okay, so if I do that, you'll see that the quad map gives us the ability to control different points on it. So we have side points that we can do perspective in, okay, just like this, and we can stretch it, we can pull it together, we can make a bit of perspective here, and we can also just flatten it so that it goes onto the floor, and we can kind of play with the look of that in order to get a shadow based on whatever the sun direction is in our scene. And kind of make that so it sits on the floor while he's in the air. And all of this is animatable, right? So we can animate this shadow as needed by animating the quad map. Okay, so we can get something like this. And you can see that my quad map is right here. And if I just look there, it's got one key there. So I just hit F6, make sure that key is applied. And then all we're going to do is we're going to just follow and make sure that if we need to adjust our shadow, we will. So at, say, this point here where he hits the ground, I'm going to set a key here, and I'm going to adjust my quad map just to have the shadow look like it's actually hitting the ground there. And I'm going to keep going. Okay, so he comes down, hits the ground, bounces up, and then here I want them to hit the ground there again, so right on this one. I'm going to create another key, and I'll just adjust my quad map again. And keep going here as he goes out of the scene. Okay, and that's probably not too bad. Probably just drop that corner down a little bit on this one. So I'm just going to grab that and drag that down a little bit, and you just pull that over just as it's coming down to the ground, and then it's going to animate out. Okay. All right. So that's the movement. This can be tweened as well. So if I wanted to have the quad map start at frame 1 here on a key, I could change these to a motion keyframe to tween them, which is right here. So I could set that like that, and it would do a motion tween between those keyframes. Okay, so that aligns our shadow with the quad map, and I can just go here to hide all controls, and it'll hide those controls for me. Okay, now we can control the look of what the quad map is. So you can see if I deselect it right now, it just shows the basic shadow here. Okay, but if I go in here and turn my render on, okay, and I gotta turn my background to actually see this. I'm gonna actually go here and turn my background on. You can see that it has the shadow underneath it there. Okay, so if I look here and I want to adjust the look of that shadow, then I do have some basic parameters that I can change here, in here to adjust that shadow. I can go in here and you can set this to a directional or a radial shadow. Okay. You can change the color of the shadow if you want it to go in here, maybe make it a little more yellow to blend in, or a little more whatever color you need it to kind of blend it in with. You could even steal a color from the background by going over here and like maybe picking a color. I'm holding down the left mouse button here and pick something like that, and you can kind of blend it in, and then you can make a gradient if you want, and you can adjust it, make it a little cooler, a little warmer. Okay, so there's all kinds of things you can do in here with the color. Maybe I'll pull this back a little bit. Okay, and then you can also increase the radius. So maybe I can do something like a 5. Okay, and you can see that it gives a little fuzziness around the edge of the shadow. Okay, and you can see that that gives us a shadow behind our character. All right, so again, you can go in and have fun with the colors and that, but that is pretty straightforward for creating just a basic shadow underneath your character for your piece. Okay, so if you have any questions, let me know. I'm just gonna make that darker if we can see it. Okay, if you have any questions, let me know, but that's it for making a shadow. Okay, and it will render out perfectly fine as long as you've comped the main character into that comp, and you set up these 3 additional nodes, and that gives you a very straightforward shadow that you can then plug into your final comp for working on your final piece. Okay, all right, we'll talk to you later.